José María, yo te escucho. Yo soy José María y la tengo encendida.
Hola, Jesús, ¿cómo estás?
Buenas tardes a los que nos acompañáis aquí en Madrid, en el Palacio de Cibeles, en este Madrid Platform. Segundo día de 3. Buenos días o buenas noches a aquellos que nos estáis siguiendo por streaming en directo en todas partes del mundo. Estamos en las redes sociales bajo el hashtag Madrid Platform y hoy va a ser un día, esta tarde, que ahora comienza, vamos a hablar de agua. El 70% de nuestro planeta está hecho de agua, pero tan solo el 0,02 de este agua es potable. Abrir el grifo y que salga el líquido azul es prácticamente un lujo en todas las partes del planeta. Los retos del mercado del agua van a suponer cambios importantes en el mundo y de ellos, de su gestión, no solo depende muchas veces la economía o la pobreza de las regiones, sino también la cohesión territorial. Para hablarnos de todo ello hemos preparado la siguiente mesa redonda que nos va a moderar y presentar Arantxa Mencia, es Global Business Development Director de Alma Water Solutions y nos vais a hablar un poco de los retos, ¿verdad? Esta gestión.
Esa es la idea. Gracias. La presentación. Desde Alma Water hemos querido organizar esta sesión para entre todos discutir y tener distintas ideas del problema que a día de hoy se está planteando en el sector del agua, que un poco es extrapolable al resto de las infraestructuras, pero que consideramos básico ahora mismo cuando hay una falta de
field of infrastructures. There is lack of resources, lack of drinkable water for population, and lack of water for the industry, which is mainly due to poor infrastructure or a poor management of infrastructure. This problem is bigger in Latin America as well as in Spain too. At Alma, we consider that public and private associations play a leading role. We need the know-how from private companies that help the development of public infrastructures. It helps to optimize management. We wanted to talk from the viewpoint of Alma, but we will also want to hear the point of view of different experts, funders, businesses that promote investment, banks, legal experts, and other types of experts that work on the field. We want to have a global idea and a local idea of our problems. That's why we are going to talk with people from Chile, Peru, Mexico, Spain, because we wish to find solutions all together. We want to facilitate investment and infrastructure and, of course, access to water. Those who are following us on streaming should keep in mind that here each person can give their point of view, and then if we have time, there will be time for questions and answers. We will have 10-15 minutes for questions and answers. We have a representative from the Inter-American Development Bank, and then Gonzalo and other colleagues will tell us about a project for a services company in Chile, and then we will see a case study in Spain, and then we will listen to the experiences by people who are working in the Mexican market and in Chile as well. And I hope we have enough time for some Alma representatives to speak as well. And without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Lucio Javier García, who is a specialist in investment for water and healthcare and water facilities. He has over 15 years experience both in the public and in the private sector. And he has also worked in partnerships between the public and the private sector. So, tell us your experience from your bank. Thank you. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the organizers. The bank I represent is the main Inter-American Development Bank in the region. Our premises are in Washington, D.C. We provide advice to customers both in the public field and in the public one. We have the investment branch and an innovation lamp within the bank. We provide loans with government guarantees. We provide technical assistance, and we provide knowledge and know-how. We around 100 professionals work in the bank, and we are represented throughout the Latin American region. As you said, Latin America has improved its situation in the last few years, as we can see in the SDG. But we should also consider that some variables have been established in connection to the SDGs, because we are tackling in a different manner water and sanitation problems in order to improve the quality of our processes. Access to safe water is absolutely key. 400 million people lack access to appropriate sanitation facilities, and therefore it is important to have more financial resources. Latin America is investing 0.34 of their gross domestic product in sanitation and water facilities, and investment has to increase, and we have to be more efficient as well. In the region, the maintenance of facilities is not appropriate, especially in the case of sanitation facilities. Preventative maintenance is often not applied, and we also think it is important to strengthen governance procedures by providing more stability to the water and sanitation sector, promoting accountability within institutions, and separating the roles of the regulator and of the rest of the stakeholders. In water and sanitation projects in the region, we've seen that it's important to include waste management as well. Innovation is absolutely key, not only in technical terms, but also socially speaking, and innovation in the economy. We need to improve the quality of the service we provide to the population. We have to promote that people pay for water and sanitation services. We need corporate governance, and we need to apply gender perspective and consider climate change in the field of water and sanitation services, because sometimes facilities are built, but then people do not connect to those facilities, so they are not used. The COVID crisis implied that we had to handle water and sanitation services properly. Water is absolutely key in order to put an end to the pandemic. Hand washing is absolutely key, and for that we need water facilities and sanitation facilities. The financial capacity of many stakeholders has been decreased in the region. Many people lack resources right now. People could not pay for water and sanitation services. So many services have not been paid for, and companies have had to reduce their investments because they were not paid by customers. Billing was reduced for customers. We did a survey in 13 countries of the region, and we saw that there was a drop in the turnover, accounting for around 40%. That's an important decrease. But operators that were working properly and which had access to technology to handle the billing to customers have managed to perform better during the crisis. A colleague at the roundtable will talk about these issues, so I will not go on too much longer. But in the region, we have to consider that our infrastructures can be promoted in our region because the private contribution to infrastructure accounts for around 15%, and we believe that percentage can be increased. In the field of water and sanitation in the region, there are many ways for the private sector to participate. We have management contracts for different types of uses. We have agreements with many companies, for example, in Chile. And to conclude, I wanted to talk to you about funding mechanisms. The water and sanitation sector has some specific features, and sometimes it is not so attractive to investors. There are high initial costs. It takes time to get a return on the investment, quite a few years, but lately we have developed some funding mechanisms, such as the strategic use of public resources to promote water and sanitation facilities. We have results-based contracts in the Bahamas and Jamaica, partial guarantees to decrease the risk of projects, different funds with public and private resources so that small players can access funding. And in the last few years, we have issued specific bonds to fund sustainable projects from the environmental and social viewpoints. They are attractive to institutional investors, both at national and international level, because transparency is ensured when one of these specific bonds is issued. They are called thematic bonds. because the social impact is considered as well as the environmental impact. I think this is all on my part, so I'll give you the floor. Thank you very much.
Just a couple questions of these mechanisms, finance mechanisms that you talked about, these innovative mechanisms. Which of these do you think has been developed the most in the water sector in Latin America and the Caribbean? Those bonds to give comfort to the big investors, or something more small scale to help the small operators? Well, the water and sanitation sector, they do enjoy certain tax breaks. The interpreter apologizes. The sound here from the video is very poor. I'll do my best to get the message across. Results-based financing, I think, is a good technique. And those bonds, we have a wide array. We have green bonds and others that can be used. And so it's a very good method as well. But investment in water and sanitation need to improve, and the banks need to improve aspects in the climate change and social change. There's a lot of potential there. In Latin America, over the last several years, there are companies that have issued sanitation bonds. There's a public company that does that. In Chile, we have a company that issues bonds or green bonds to finance part of their investments in water and sanitation. Also, there are bonds to finance climate change mitigation procedures as well, and companies want to work in this sense, and they're developing public-based financing for some of their projects. The IADB group has also worked out a green bond platform to develop financing in this sense. Thank you. Very interesting. As an investor, we're going to take note of all these possibilities. Thank you very much for your participation. I can invite you now to continue to remain in this session, and especially thanks for supporting the investors who are trying to develop water projects in Latin America. Thanks very much, Lucio. We're going to move on now to Karine Granda, the Special Director of Projects, Investment Projects. Karine is a lawyer from the University in Trujillo. She has a Master in Economics and the Regulation of Public Services from the University of Barcelona. And she has a Master in Law, in Business Law, from the Catholic University of Peru. She has experience in structuring and development of private investment schemes, and she has been working about private investment policy at the DG to promote private investment in the ministry in Peru. She also works in communications. As I said, she's the Special Director of Investment Projects. So we think it'd be very interesting if she can share with us the possibilities for investment in water projects in Peru, and to tell us the vision of the investment of your institution. Thank you. Good morning. Hello from Lima, Peru. And the current context, the interpreter once again apologizes. The sound we're getting from Peru is very poor. I'll do my best to get the message across. From the public health perspective, with the pandemic, we can see some of the big gaps that we have in water and sanitation in Latin America. And also, the treatment of wastewater is also lacking. And this has been all brought to a head in the COVID-19 crisis. There are other diseases also that are becoming worse due to these problems. In the case of Peru, we have approximately 3.4 million Peruvians who do not have running water, 7.4 million who do not have sanitation. 44% of the water outlets of homes do not, or wastewater is not treated. So we need to develop different intervention mechanisms from the state.
a cargo de las empresas prestadoras de los servicios públicos. Sin embargo, actualmente la gran apuesta que tiene el
Right
Estado
now,
peruano se encuentra enfocada
Peru
a cubrir brechas de
is trying to
infraestructura con la
cover
participación del sector privado a
gaps
través del mecanismo de asociaciones público-privadas,
with
que no
public private
solamente aseguren
investment
la
to
construcción de
not
las
only assure
infraestructuras
the
en
construction
esta
of
obra, sino
infrastructure,
también su
but also
sostenibilidad en el largo plazo. Este
sustainability over the
mecanismo
long
se
term.
realiza
That's
de
the
la
big
siguiente forma.
deficiency that we found.
Para ello, como fundación, nosotros
So
tenemos una cartera
we
autorizada de 11 proyectos de
have
asociación,
11
público-privadas para
projects,
trabajar la provisión
public-private
de agua y
finance
tratamiento
projects for
de
water
aguas
and
residuales bajo el mecanismo de agua.
wastewater treatment.
Hoy no solamente
Today,
cobra
not
una prioridad,
only
sino
is
que
it a
tenemos
priority,
urgencia en la
but it's
ejecución de los
urgent
proyectos en el área de ampliación del servicio de agua potable que permitan
to
llevar el
provide
contenido a las familias que no cuentan con
potable
el servicio de
water to
tratamiento
families
y
who do
saneamiento
not have this
de vertimiento
service.
de aguas residuales.
The same
Estos
goes for the treatment of
indicadores de
wastewater.
necesidad
That's in
han
terms
sido
of
leídos. Ahora,
needs.
si logramos
Now,
tener
if we look at
un
this
enfoque distinto
from a
ya bajo
different
el marco de
focus
la inversión privada,
for
ante
private
las
investment,
incertidumbres que hemos
given
tenido
the
con relación a
uncertainties
la
that we have,
financiación, hay un mayor atractivo por
there's a
proyectos
greater
con poco o
attraction
nulo
for
riesgo de devenir. Son,
low-risk
como les consta,
projects.
precisamente aquellos asociados
These
a los
are
servicios
those
básicos,
that have to do with
agua,
basic services, water,
saneamiento, educación,
sanitation,
en los que
education,
presentan esta característica,
that have
ya que
these
el
same
Estado
characteristics because the
participa
state
y se puede determinar
participates
en el cofinanciamiento
in the
del primero en tanto la
co-financing
infraestructura se encuentre
of
disponible
these
y prestando
projects.
servicio bajo los estándares de calidad requeridos. Como les comenté, el reto es grande. Tenemos
So
un
we have a big
portafolio de
challenge
11
here. We have
proyectos.
11
La mayoría
projects
de
in
ellos con
our
participación del
portfolio,
Estado,
some with the
tanto para el
participation of the
pago de las
state for the
inversiones
payment of
en
the
el
investment
mecanismo de
using
pagos por disponibilidad y también con garantías de
investment
liquidez por
procedures
del
and
Estado en caso que los pagos sean o partan de una obligación de los usuarios. Nuestros proyectos
our
atraviesan
projects are going
fases
through
de
different
determinación
stages. Some are underway, some
la
are under technical
participación
study.
en el proceso licitatorio. Los proyectos que nosotros
The
tenemos,
projects,
11 proyectos
of these
autorizados
11
hasta
projects that
ahora
we
en esta
talked about,
cartera. Primero tenemos un
first we
proyecto
have a
en la
project
Amazonía peruana, un proyecto de
in the
plantas de
Amazon.
tratamiento
These are
de
treatment
residuos en
plants
hábitat poco marginado.
in some towns in the
Nosotros
Amazon.
ya en Letán hay participación
We
de
have the
inversores,
precipitation
empresas, no solamente mexicanas, sino también de otros países
of
internacionales
Latin
que
American
están
and Spanish
participando en
companies who are
desarrollo de
taking
este
part in
proyecto para
developing
ya en las
this
siguientes
project.
meses poder
And over the
adjudicarnos un
next several
proyecto
months,
de
the
ayuda
project will
técnica
be
de
awarded.
aproximadamente 70 millones de
It's
dólares.
approximately
El
$70
impacto
million
social del
project, but the
proyecto
social impact of the
es muy
project
amplio. No
is very
solamente porque los
wide-reaching.
residuos en los órganos de tratamiento es mínimo y eso no
These are
genera
areas where water treatment
contaminación
is minimal,
hacia su
so
proceso,
it will make a big
sino
difference.
también
And also,
y ello va a redundar en todos los beneficios sociales que se
all of the social
generan con la
benefits
adecuada
that will be
organización de
generated
los estándares de
by
calidad.
this
Otro proyecto
sanitation.
que nosotros
Another
tenemos un nivel
project
bastante
that
avanzado
is quite
y sobre
advanced,
todo el
especially
impacto que va a tener
in
en la
the
ciudad
impact
de
it's going to
Lima,
have
sobre
in
todo
the
en la
city of
zona y la
Lima.
Perú que está en Lima y la brecha
And
también
there's a
muy
big
importante.
gap
Tenemos el
in
proyecto
Lima
de
as
obras
well.
de carretera y agua potable para Lima. Tenemos, además de ser el proyecto más grande de la
This is the
cartera, con
biggest
más de
project,
480
about
millones de
$480
dólares entre
million
diseño, financiamiento,
to
construcción,
financing, the
operación del
construction, the
personal necesario para
operation,
lo que es captación,
test,
traspaso, producción, producción y abastecimiento de agua
and the
potable
supply
para la
of
ciudad de
potable
Lima.
water to the city of Lima.
Actualmente trabajamos
Right
con
now, we're working
NFC
in
en el proceso
NFC in
ya
the
realizamos el
process
cierre de los estudios y en los
of
próximos meses
closing the
estaremos
studies, and
lanzando la
we'll soon be launching
Tenemos
this to the market.
expectativa
There's
en
a
el
lot of
sentido de
expectation,
seguir socializando
and right now
el
we're
proyecto con distintos gestores,
raising
con
awareness
accionistas, con otras
of the
gestoras,
shareholders and so forth
con
in this
alianzas
project. Many of
internacionales
them
y
are
con
Spanish as well,
algunos
so we hope to have
participantes.
your participation in this project. Another project,
Esos proyectos que les he mencionado son
those two
proyectos
projects
que
that I mentioned are
son generados o han generados producto de la
the
planificación del
product
Estado. El
of
proyecto
state
de tratamiento
planning.
sangriento en Puerto Maldonado, en la Amazonía peruana, el proyecto Obras de Cabecera para el cierre de represas de agua en
So
Lima, son iniciativas del
these
Estado.
are in
Y
state
luego tenemos
initiatives,
un
but we
conjunto de
also have a
proyectos
set of
cuyo origen,
projects that are originated
han provenido más que del Estado, cuyo origen y desarrollo
from
ha provenido del sector privado.
the private
Y ahí
sector.
viene un conjunto, hoy
And
día de hoy tenemos
we have
aproximadamente
approximately
9 proyectos auxiliados
9
por
projects
iniciativa
that
privada.
are
Estos
from
proyectos
private
a nivel
initiative.
están avanzando al punto de salir a buscar un mercado competitivo y generar competencia. El primero de ellos
The
es
first
el
of
proyecto
these
de planta de tratamiento
is
en
a
Terraplén
treatment
en
plant
Huancayo.
in
Hace
Huancayo.
poco ha sido
Just
inaugurado,
recently, it
se
was
hizo la promoción,
incorporated
estamos a puertas también, espero, en los siguientes meses de poder sacarlo al
into
mercado para buscar un espacio de
the
competencia.
tests were done. It's going to be
Muchos de
now
estos
up for
proyectos
a
de
bidding
iniciativas
process
privadas
or a tender
cofinanciadas,
process.
obviamente son empresas de reconocido prestigio a
These
nivel
are
mundial.
prestigious
Muchas
companies
de
that
ellas
have
han
come up
ganado
with these
la apuesta del
projects.
mercado mundial.
Many of these companies are Spanish.
En el Perú ha sido muy valiosa y esperamos que en los siguientes meses, con el
And
lanzamiento
so
de
we
estos
hope when these
proyectos,
projects come to
puedan
light,
satisfacer la expectativa, puedan
we'll be able
mejorar
to meet
la
the
participación
expectations and
en
have
los
the
estratégicos
participation
internacionales, tanto europeos, españoles,
of
en estos
European
proyectos.
and European companies, and
A estos
particularly
proyectos
Spanish companies.
adicionamos
In
una
addition to these
adicional
projects, we
cuatro
have
proyectos de iniciativas
4
privadas
private
cofinanciadas, cuatro proyectos de
co-finance
los cuales
projects.
el Estado peruano ha lanzado para que puedan presentar propuestas al sector privado. Tenemos la próxima
We
los
have
primeros días de julio
the
para que los
first days of
proyectos
July.
interesados en presentar propuestas, tanto
We'll be receiving proposals.
se puedan presentar. ¿A qué quiero arribar con esto?
Those
La
that
apuesta
want
del
to
Estado
help with
peruano
this,
por el cierre de brechas es fuerte. La apuesta por el Estado peruano por las APPs, creo que como un
so the state is focusing on the
a la infraestructura
APPs.
ha sido ratificado en los distintos múltiples sesiones de gobierno que hemos tenido en los
This has been
últimos
ratified by the
años.
different levels of government.
Nuestro objetivo
Our
es
objective
generar
is to generate
competitivos y para
competitive
eso estaremos
processes
comunicándoles al mercado
and communicate these to the market so that each time we put out a tender, we'll have the participation that we're looking for. Thank you. We have had the opportunity as a company to participate and monitor many of the projects you're talking about. I would like, if you could, to launch a private investment message. A lot of times they complain about the time frames of the execution of projects and investment. We know that they're working to accelerate these time periods. I don't know if in these most recent projects you're implementing a measure so the processes don't take so long from the time that the investor starts to work until these become a reality. Or maybe you can give us some advice to private investors to shorten this period of waiting time between the investment and the execution of the project. In general, we receive these questions about the time periods. We usually explain that these are very complex processes in the interaction of each of the phases, but it is true that in recent years we have been trying to improve these times, and we've been doing two things. First, the technical evaluation stage is done following certain standards, public standards, and we know that handling a whole portfolio of projects, maybe 8, 9 projects, could cause some bottlenecks. Now, to deal with that problem and to prevent these bottlenecks, over the last months we've been working with the support of the World Bank and the Ministry of Housing to develop a PMO in this sector to generate synergies to accelerate the process, to have the proper management of projects. This is a process that will be the first PMO for sanitation, and then it will be applied to other sectors to provide this technical assistance to the projects to accelerate the process and the taking of all the different decisions, especially during the period of all the technical studies.
Y además, este PMO pueda participar en las siguientes fases apoyando las
We
decisiones
can
a cargo del Ministerio
also
de Vivienda hasta
support
la fase de
subsequent phases as well to try to move those along as much as possible.
por el lado, ya vemos de los estudios técnicos, pero
That's in terms of the technical studies, but then
un plazo bastante importante en
we
lo que es la
also
estructuración de proyectos. Y nosotros habíamos
have
tenido
another
más o menos que a partir del 2018 retomamos el desarrollo de proyectos de APP y
bottleneck.
el saneamiento. Hacia atrás no habíamos tenido mucho impulso del lado del sector, pero a partir del 2018
Since
con la suscripción,
2018,
adjudicación y firma del contrato de la
with
planta
the
de tratamiento de aguas residuales
awarding of
en
wastewater
lo que nosotros
treatment
llamamos
contracts,
nos han servido de guía para comenzar a estandarizar
we started to analyze some criteria
para la determinación del nivel de servicio, para la
to
determinación
provide
de penalidades, la determinación de deductivos, que a nosotros sí nos venía costando trabajo en otros
to facilitate these services.
la mayoría de proyectos podemos estandarizarlos en dos bloques, plantas de tratamiento, desaladores, donde hay un caso específico que es abastecimiento de agua potable.
The interpreter again apologizes. The sound that we're receiving here in Madrid from Peru is not good, and it's really impossible to interpret properly. I'll do my best to try to get the message across. So one of our projects in the Amazon is going to serve as the basis to iron out all of these technical criteria just to shorten the process, to streamline the process as much as possible, to have standardized contracts, for example. And in the supply contracts, we're also providing support there. So these are our major objectives, to be able to reduce the periods of time that an investor will have to wait from the time of the investment until the time that the project is actually executed. So we are going to have to generate these synergies to be able to accelerate the process, but this is our idea. We wish you all of the success in the world. This is an interesting initiative in Peru, all these infrastructures that are so essential. And some have been, for years now, trying to move forward. And so congratulations for the work that you're doing in your investment institution in Peru. Thank you very much for your participation in this forum. Thank you. So now we'll come back to this side of the Atlantic, and we'll start with Gonzalo. Gonzalo has been working for more than 20 years in the water sector, managing major equipment in big multinational companies. Water, he works now in this services section. He works in the north of Africa and Latin America. We want Gonzalo to talk a little bit about and give us his opinion on the process over the last several years with the participation of Amin Walter, with providing services in Chile and his general vision of the market, going from the public that we were talking about before to private, the private side. Trying to take off my mask here. Thanks very much to everyone. Thanks and good afternoon to all of you. Good morning to Latin America. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to present our business model, our portfolio of services, what we've been doing in Latin America. If we look a little bit back in history, for some time now we've been trying and studying the way to put together a good portfolio of services in Latin America. And we realized very quickly that providing services is the same as local presence. We needed to be present there locally. We've been trying now for some time to disembark, and we realized that the customers are demanding local presence, ongoing contact, tangibility, being there. So it's important to be there and to be close. So we were having a tough time starting, and we were trying to decide of how to move forward a little faster. So then we had an opportunity, and we thought the opportunity consisted in making an acquisition. We had the opportunity. This is a technological company that we acquired, Osmoflow. You probably know this company, or some of you. It's an Australian company that we're still developing its technological capacities, and due to a number of reasons, they decided that they wanted to divest in this geography, and we saw it as an opportunity. Although this company wasn't doing exactly what we wanted to do, we could use this as a platform to get that initial push forward. So it took us a year of negotiation, but in the end we could complete the transaction. I think we closed the deal in November 2019, but that's where everything began, because we had to carry out important changes in the company. The first and the most important one was technological. A technological company, and what we wanted was to put together a services platform, so we had to reconvert it into this platform. So the first thing we did is put aside everything that was technological, and we incorporated all the talent that the company had for the services sector. And so this generated another important problem. We said our customers that received our services often wanted technological solutions, so we renounced the technological part in-house, but we're not going to renounce that we do have suppliers, and we developed strategic agreements, or signed strategic agreements with suppliers, because they knew how to do things better than us. They had the availability that we didn't have. They could provide capacities and delivery times that our customers asked for, and we put them at the disposal of our customers, but filtering that relationship since the... So from that point of view, we implemented that. And the third thing we found was staff. We found a lot of talent, and so we refocused all of that talent towards the services sector. And we realized that we needed an additional professional with the willing to provide services to customers, and we decided to make some hires. And I apologize to my competitors, but we had to capture people from the competition, but we're very happy with them. And this is personnel with devoted to customer service. So everything that I'm telling you, we didn't have to invent everything. It was just really common sense. We had already done this in other geographies. We knew that it was a model that worked, and what we wanted to is replicate this. We knew it had worked in other geographies, and so in this new geography, we knew it was going to work for us. After that, we decided to foster mobile service because we understood that this gave a lot of flexibility to customers, and we decided, therefore, to reinforce and update our services of mobile plant services. As you know, these are plants with containers that can be transferred from one customer to another. And instead of doing technological supply, you provide a service, a temporary service. And lastly, we wanted to introduce the Biotech Model. I'm not going to explain that because you probably know already, but it incorporated or it closed this circle of portfolio of services that we wanted to provide to our customers. Our customers are strategic, others are corporate, others were due to financial needs, and so we're able, through our strategic collaborators, to design the financing and then finish the deal. So we got down to work. The first task was to know our market, our customers, to know the new Osmo flow. We were the new kids on the block here, so we had to get to know the organization and all of the reconversion that we'd made of the company. And we started to work. We immediately learned that we had some big competitors in the market that had been there longer than us. They probably knew more customers than we did. So what do? How did we differentiate ourselves? Well, we incorporated 4 major blocks of solutions. The first block of solutions was the contingency solutions. Those of us who work in services, you know there's an important part of the personnel that makes mistakes and things don't go the way we want. But we didn't want to transfer our errors to customers. So our customers, if we make a mistake, this could lead to loss in production of our customers, and we couldn't allow this to happen. So we decided, through our strategic suppliers, we did a segmentation of the assets that our customers were managing, which are the property of our customers. And we said, what is the standard size that you need to bring to our installations? If we make a mistake, so you won't be affected. That was one of the first big actions that we carried out. That was buying these assets so that if we made a mistake, our customers would not be affected by those errors. The second major block was the seasonal solution to seasonal problems. I'm talking about Chile, but other geographies as well. We know that in certain times of the year, water resources are fantastic, and at other times it's terrible so there's problems with drought. So we realized that there were customers that they had solved their availability, infrastructure, and services problems. Some were even managing their own assets. But at certain times of the year, they found that the demand for water were not covered, or they were not fully covered. So that was our second decision that we took, to foster our assets through mobile plants. So a customer who has a seasonal problem, 2, 3, 4, 5 months a year, he said, I need 30% of the capacity that I have, my installed capacity, but I need a solution, a temporary solution. That's here. So we have our container plants. We have 5 container plants to produce water, to transfer that to the customers that need it during that period, those 3, 4, 5 months. And during that period, we provide, we sell the water. After that period and the system normalizes again, and our customer doesn't need that, well, that's fine. We take the plant away, and we say we'll be back next year or not, depending on what the customer wants. And then a third group of solutions that we're implementing. This group of solutions has not been adapted fully to Latin America yet, but we're having very good results with this in other geographies, specifically in North Africa, where it works very well. These are infrastructures where electricity supply fails. Remember that to generate water, produce water, you need electrical energy. And if that fails, then your production will fail. So we transferred 2 major solutions. The first was to install generators, diesel-powered generators, so that the customer would have the water production that they needed at all times. And also under study now is